At Thanksgiving dinner, my mother handed 4 white envelopes to the children at the table. 2 envelopes went to my sister's kids, $200 each. A little note inside each one that said, "For my beautiful grandchildren, love, Grandma." Then she folded her hands, smiled across the table, and ignored my 2 children completely. My daughter Mia was 7. My son Noah was 5. They were sitting right beside me, wearing the sweaters they had chosen themselves because I told them Grandma liked family photos. Mia looked at the envelopes. Then she looked at me, not angry, not jealous, just confused. And that was the moment I felt something inside me go cold, because my mother had hurt me many times, but she had never done it through my children before. My name is Claire Bennett. For 34 years, I believed I understood my place in my family. Not the favorite, not the difficult one exactly, something quieter, the one who was always almost included, almost praised, almost trusted, almost enough. My mother, Evelyn Bennett, loved clean stories. She loved family photos where everyone wore matching colors. She loved polished holiday tables, hand-addressed Christmas cards, and telling strangers that family was everything. But family, to my mother, was not a feeling. It was ownership. It was image. It was bloodline. It was who looked right in the frame. My older sister, Laura, had always looked right. Same soft blonde hair as Mom, same blue eyes, same small nose, same way of smiling that made people say, "You two are identical." I did not look like them. I had dark hair, brown eyes, a face that seemed to belong to another room. Growing up, my mother explained this in little cuts. "You must get that from your father's side. Stand closer to Laura. The lighting makes you look tired. Claire, don't make that face. It looks harsh." She never said I did not belong. She only made belonging feel like something I had to earn by being grateful. My father, Robert Bennett, was different. He died when I was 22. But before that, he was the quiet center of my life. He was not dramatic. He was not a man who gave speeches at dinner. He fixed broken cabinet doors, kept old receipts in labeled envelopes, and cried at dog commercials when he thought no one was watching. When I was little, he used to take me to the hardware store on Saturday mornings. He would let me hold the list, not because I understood it, because he said holding the list meant I was in charge of possibilities. Once, when I was 9, I asked him why I did not look like everyone else. He crouched beside the paint samples and said, "Biology is the least interesting way to belong to someone." I did not understand the sentence then. I only understood that he said it like a promise. After he died, I clung to those words without knowing why. My children came to me through adoption. Mia was 3 when I first met her. Noah was 18 months. They were siblings, already holding each other with the fierce loyalty of children who had learned that adults could disappear. The first night they came home, Mia slept on the floor beside Noah's crib because she did not believe anyone when we said they would wake up in the same house. For months, she asked before every meal, "Is this for us?" Every time, I said, "Yes, sweetheart, this is your home." Mother behaved politely at first, not warmly. Politely. She bought them matching pajamas. She posted one photo with the caption, "New little blessings." Then, slowly, the comments began. "They still seem nervous. Attachment is complicated, isn't it? Do you think they'll ever feel like family?" I answered carefully because I still believed if I explained love well enough, my mother might understand it. "They are family," I said. She smiled in that thin way. Of course, I only meant biologically. That word always came dressed as precision. But in my mother's mouth, it was a knife. Thanksgiving was at her house, as always. The dining room looked like a magazine spread. Cream candles, gold napkin rings, a centerpiece with pears nobody was supposed to eat. Laura arrived with her husband and their 2 children, Sophie and Jack, who were kind kids but had already learned that Grandma measured rooms around them. Mia and Noah clung to me at first, then relaxed when Laura's kids invited them to build a blanket fort in the den. For an hour, I let myself hope. That was always the mistake. Hope made me underestimate how carefully my mother planned cruelty. Dinner went well enough. Turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce from a silver bowl. Mother asked Laura's children about school, piano, soccer, and friends. She asked Mia whether she had adjusted better this year. She asked Noah if he was still having those little outbursts. Noah looked at me, cheeks red. I said, "He's 5. Mother smiled. Exactly. I should have left then. But childhood training is powerful. You learn to survive a table before you learn to leave it." After dessert, Mother stood and said she had a little surprise for the grandchildren. The children gathered near the sideboard. Laura smiled, assuming the moment would be sweet. Mother handed Sophie an envelope. Then Jack. Sophie opened hers and gasped. $200. Jack jumped. Me too. Mother laughed. For my real grandchildren, she said. The room changed. It was small, a sound vanishing, a fork stopping against a plate. Laura's smile froze. Mia looked at the envelopes, then at my mother. Noah asked, "Do we get one?" Mother tilted her head. "Oh, honey." I stood up. "What did you just say?" Mother looked at me as if I had interrupted a prayer. I said those are for my real grandchildren. My voice came out quiet. Mia and Noah are your grandchildren. Mother's face tightened. Claire, don't start. That phrase, don't start. The family password for silence. She lowered her voice, but not enough. They are your children legally. I respect that, but there is a biological distinction. Mia moved closer to my leg. Noah's eyes filled with tears. I said, "You will not say that in front of them." Mother's smile disappeared. "This is exactly what I mean. You are always trying to force everyone to pretend." Laura stood. "Mom, stop." Mother ignored her. "I have a right to decide what happens to the Warren legacy." The Warren legacy. She meant my father's last name. The house, the holiday china, the story she sold to everyone. She meant blood. She looked at my children and said, "I am not cruel. I am simply honest. They came with you. Claire, they are not ours in the same way. Came with you. As if they were luggage. As if the 2 children who called me mommy were accessories attached to my life." I knelt in front of Mia and Noah. "Go get your coats, okay?" Mia whispered. "Did we do something wrong?" My mother opened her mouth. I turned so sharply she stopped. "No," I said to Mia. "You did nothing wrong. Grown-ups are responsible for their own meanness." Mia nodded, but I saw the wound land anyway. That is the thing about cruel sentences. Children understand them before they understand the words. Then my grandmother Ruth stood. She was 81 years old, small, sharp-eyed, and the only person at that table my mother still feared. Grandma Ruth was my mother's mother. She had watched 3 generations of Bennett holidays and had perfected the art of saying devastating things while folding a napkin. "Evelyn," she said. Mother closed her eyes. "Not now." "Mom." "Yes," Grandma Ruth said. "Now." The room became completely still. Grandma Ruth turned to me. "Claire, sit down. I'm leaving. You may after this." Mother stood. "No." Grandma Ruth looked at her daughter. "You have owned a secret for 34 years and called it motherhood. That ends tonight." The words did not make sense at first. I looked from Grandma Ruth to my mother. Mother had gone pale. Laura whispered, "What secret?" Grandma Ruth reached into her handbag and removed a large manila envelope. It looked old, worn at the edges, carefully preserved. My name was written on the front, Claire, in my father's handwriting. My mother's voice changed. Small, dangerous. Mother, if you open that, you destroy this family, Grandma Ruth said. No, you did that when you looked at two little children and called them less real. She handed me the envelope. My fingers felt numb. Inside were papers, an adoption decree, hospital records, a photograph of my father, younger than I had ever seen him, holding a baby wrapped in a yellow blanket. Me? There was also a hospital bracelet, tiny, faded, and a letter. My vision blurred before I reached the first line. My darling Claire, if you are reading this, then the truth has waited too long. You came to us when you were 6 weeks old, and I loved you before I understood how fully a heart could choose. Your mother was afraid of what people would say. I was afraid of what silence would do to you. If Evelyn has not told you by your 30th birthday, Ruth has promised me she will. Please know this first. You were not our second choice. You were not less ours. Biology is the least interesting way to belong to someone. Love, Dad. The room disappeared. For a moment, there was only the paper, my father's handwriting, the sentence from the hardware store, the words I had carried like a charm without knowing they were a map. I looked at my mother. You knew. She said nothing. You knew I was adopted. Her face twisted. I raised you, Grandma Ruth said. That was not the question. Mother turned on her. You promised? No, Grandma Ruth said. I delayed. That was my failure. I will answer for it. But I will not let you use blood against children when you hid the same truth from your own daughter. Laura sat down slowly. Claire is adopted? Mother snapped. Don't say it like that. I laughed once. It sounded broken. Like what? Like the truth? Mother pointed at the papers. That was private. No, Grandma Ruth said. It was Claire's. Mother looked at me. I was protecting you. I stared at the woman who had spent my life making me feel wrong in my own family photos. From what? From feeling different. And there it was. The clean story. The kind my mother loved. I said, you made me feel different every day. She flinched, not from guilt, from being seen. I kept going. You commented on my face, my hair, my body, the way I didn't match. You made every difference my fault. I did my best and... No, I said. Dad did his best. You managed a secret. Mother's eyes filled with tears. My child is attacking me in my own home. Grandma Ruth's voice cut through the room. You owned a secret. That is different from mothering. Mother turned to Laura. Say something. Laura looked at her children, then at mine, standing in the hallway with coats half-zipped and frightened eyes. Then Laura looked back at Mother. I think you should apologize to Mia and Noah. Mother's face hardened. They are not the issue. They are exactly the issue, I said. I placed Dad's letter back into the envelope. My children will not spend one more minute in a house where love is measured by DNA. Mother's voice sharpened. Do not be dramatic. I looked at her for a long time. Then I said the sentence I had been too well trained to say for 34 years. We are leaving. The drive home was quiet. Mia sat in the back seat, holding Noah's hand. I wanted to explain everything. I wanted to undo the hurt before it could harden. But some wounds need safety before language. So I said only, Grandma was wrong. Noah whispered, Are we real? I pulled the car over. I turned around. You are the realest thing in my life. Mia's chin trembled. But she said, I know what she said. Why? Because she is cruel. Because she is afraid. Because she worships blood and image and control. Because she hid the truth about me for 34 years and still learned nothing. I could not say all that to a 7-year-old. So I said, "Some people get confused and think family is made by matching, but family is made by showing up." Mia looked at Noah. "We show up." "Yes," I said, "every day." That night, after the kids fell asleep in my bed, I sat at the kitchen table with the envelope. My husband Adam sat across from me. He had missed Thanksgiving because of a hospital shift, which meant he was spared the explosion and punished with the aftermath. He read Dad's letter with tears in his eyes. Then he read the adoption papers, then the hospital records. He reached for my hand. "What do you need?" I almost said, "I don't know." But I did know. I need every lie named. So we called Grandma Ruth. She answered on the first ring. I wondered how long it would take. "Tell me everything," she sighed. Then she did. My parents had struggled to have a second child. My mother wanted a baby who would make the family feel complete. My father wanted a child to love. Those were not the same thing. They adopted me privately through an agency that closed years later. Dad wanted openness. Mother wanted a clean story. No awkward questions. No biological parents. No adoption language. No difference. Grandma Ruth had argued. Dad had argued. But Mother wore them down with tears, fear, and the sentence she used whenever she wanted control to sound like care. She should not have to feel different. Grandma Ruth said, "We told ourselves silence could be kindness. We were wrong." Then she told me about the money. My father had left savings bonds in my name. Not a fortune, but enough to matter. A starting fund, he called it. For school, for emergencies, for choice. 3 years after he died, Mother cashed them. I sat very still. "She what?" Grandma Ruth's voice shook. "She forged your signature." The room became sharp. What did she use it for? I don't know all of it. Some went into the house, some into Laura's wedding expenses. I think some into accounts she controlled. My hands curled around to the phone. "She stole from me?" "Yes." "And you knew?" A pause. Then Grandma Ruth said, "I suspected. I did not know until later. By then, I thought exposing it would destroy what was left." "What was left for me?" She did not answer. That silence was the first honest apology she gave me. Finally, she said, "I have copies. Robert kept records. He asked me to give them to you if Evelyn had not told the truth by your 30th birthday. I let her convince me to wait. I am sorry. Claire." I closed my eyes. "How many times did she convince you?" "Too many." The next morning, Mother called 17 times. I answered none of them. Her messages moved through predictable stages. First outrage. "You humiliated me in front of the family." Then injury. "I cannot believe you would leave Thanksgiving like that." Then revision. "I never said your children were not loved." Then accusation. "Your grandmother is old and confused." Then possession. "You are my daughter, no matter what papers say." That last one made me laugh so hard I nearly dropped the phone. My daughter, the same woman who had used biology to wound my children, now wanted motherhood to outrank documents, but only when it protected her. Adam listened to the messages and said, "We need a lawyer." I nodded, not because I wanted a courtroom, because I wanted the truth to have teeth. Grandma Ruth sent the documents by courier. Adoption records. Dad's letter. Copies of the savings bonds. Redemption forms. A signature that was supposed to be mine. It was not even a good forgery. The C curled wrong. The middle initial was missing. My father, who labeled receipts for hardware purchases under $20, had kept everything. Even dead, he was still showing up. The lawyer's name was Daniel Mercer. He read quietly, asked precise questions, and did not make pity faces. I liked him immediately. He explained options: civil demand, forgery claim, Financial elder or estate-related fraud was complicated because of timing. Bank documentation. Possible settlement. Emotional harm was harder to quantify. The cashed bonds were not. How much? I asked. He reviewed the figures. Principal plus interest and penalties for improper redemption. It will not ruin her, but it will hurt. I thought of Mother handing envelopes to Sophie and Jack while Mia and Noah watched. Good. Daniel looked at me. What is your goal? That should have been easy. Money, justice, punishment. But the real answer was quieter. I want her to stop owning the story. He nodded. Then we document it. The demand letter went out 3 days later. It stated that Evelyn Bennett had improperly redeemed savings bonds intended for Claire Bennett, using a forged signature, and that repayment, including interest, was required within 10 days. It also instructed her to cease defamatory statements suggesting that my grandmother was confused or that adoption records were false. Mother called within an hour. This time, I answered with Daniel on the line. She did not know that at first. Claire, she snapped. Have you lost your mind? No. You sent me a legal threat. My attorney sent you a demand letter. A silence. Then her voice dropped. You brought a lawyer into family. You brought cruelty into Thanksgiving. I will not be blackmailed. Daniel spoke then. Mrs. Bennett, this is Daniel Mercer, counsel for your daughter. This call is being documented. Mother inhaled sharply. Her tone changed instantly. Of course, I am just heartbroken. There she was, the public version, Daniel said. Then I suggest you communicate through counsel. He ended the call. I stared at the phone. For the first time, I understood how much of my life had been spent responding to whatever version of my mother entered the room. The victim, the judge, the caretaker, the martyr, the owner. Now she had to speak to paper. Paper did not flinch. Laura came over that weekend, alone. She brought soup because our family apparently believed all emotional collapse required broth. For several minutes, we stood in my entryway, not knowing how to be sisters without our assigned roles. She had been the golden child. I had been the sensitive one. She had been the proof Mother did well. I had been the problem Mother endured. But Thanksgiving had cracked the stage. Laura looked tired. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For not seeing it? I wanted to say she should have. I wanted to make her carry some of it. Then I remembered she had been raised inside the same house, just in a sunnier room. I didn't see all of it either, I said. She cried then, not elegantly. Really? She said Mother had called her, demanding loyalty, demanding that she agree Grandma Ruth had manipulated me. Laura refused. Mother told her she was ungrateful. Then she threatened to cut her out of the will. Laura laughed through tears. I told her after Thursday, I'm not sure her will is the honor she thinks it is. For the first time in years, I laughed with my sister without measuring myself against her. The money arrived on day 9, not from my mother directly, from an escrow account. Principal, interest. A stiff letter from her attorney stating payment did not constitute admission of wrongdoing. Daniel called it standard. I called it cowardice with punctuation. I used the money to establish education accounts for Mia and Noah, not because money makes children real, because choice matters. That was what Dad had intended for me. A little space, a little future, a little proof that someone had planned for me beyond control. When I told Mia the accounts existed, she asked if it was like the envelopes at Thanksgiving. I said, "No, baby, it is different." How? It is not a reward for being real. You never have to earn that. It is a tool for your future. She thought about it. Like a backpack? I smiled. Yes, like a backpack for choices. Noah asked if he could use his for dinosaur school. I said we would keep that option open. Grandma Ruth gave me the cedar chest 2 weeks before Christmas. It had been in her attic for years. Inside were the things my mother said did not exist. My hospital bracelet, the yellow blanket from the photograph, agency paperwork, a tiny hat, pictures of my father holding me in the kitchen. My mother was in some of them too. Young, careful, smiling at the camera instead of at me. I tried not to hate her for that. The strangest thing in the chest was not the paperwork. It was proof that I had been loved loudly by someone. Dad had written dates on the backs of photos. Claire's first night home. Claire hates peas. Claire laughing at Ruth's dog. Claire asleep on Robert's chest. 3:12 a.m. He documented love the way other people document property. Carefully, completely, as if he knew one day I would need evidence that I had never been baggage. Mother sent Christmas gifts for Mia and Noah. Expensive ones. Too expensive. A dollhouse, a remote control truck, a card that said, "Grandma loves all her grandchildren." I returned them, not with a speech. With a note, "Love that must be corrected by legal pressure is not safe for my children. Do not send gifts." Claire, she sent no reply. The silence after that was strange. At first, it felt like punishment. Then it felt like withdrawal. Then, slowly, it became peace. I realized I had mistaken noise for connection. Mother's calls, her criticisms, her holiday demands, her emotional weather. Without them, the house felt larger. Mia slept better. Noah stopped asking if Grandma was mad. Laura came by more often. Grandma Ruth came every Sunday with muffins and the humble expression of someone trying to repair damage without demanding forgiveness first. That mattered. She did not ask me to call my mother. She did not say. She did her best. She said, "I should have told you sooner." Then she washed dishes. That was a better apology than most speeches. Months passed. The world did what it always does after a family explosion. It tried to smooth the edges. An aunt texted that life was short. A cousin said holidays would be awkward. Someone suggested Mother was from a different generation. I stopped answering after the third message. Blood relatives love the word forgiveness when they are really asking for access to remain convenient. I was not interested in convenience. I was interested in safety. My children deserved holidays where they were not measured. My sister deserved a relationship with me outside our mother's ranking system. I deserved to know my own beginning without someone treating truth like a weapon that belonged to her. On Mia's 8th birthday, Laura's children made her a card that said, "Best cousin ever." Mia taped it above her bed. That night, she asked, "Are Sophie and Jack my real cousins?" I sat beside her. "Yes, even if Grandma said no, especially then," I said. "Because real family is who keeps choosing you after someone tries to make you feel optional." She nodded like that made sense. Children understand love when adults stop complicating it. I read Dad's letter every few months. Not because I forget, because some truths need repetition after decades of distortion. Biology is the least interesting way to belong to someone. I used to think he was comforting me because I did not look like them. Now I know he was giving me the family philosophy my mother rejected. He believed belonging was built, shown, chosen, documented in midnight feedings, hardware store trips, labeled photographs, and savings bonds meant to become choices. My mother believed belonging could be granted or withheld. She was wrong. She withheld love like property and ended up alone with her clean story. But clean stories are often sterile. Nothing grows in them. My life is messier. Adoption papers, forged signatures, returned gifts, repaired sisterhood, children who came from loss and built a home with me anyway. A grandmother learning courage late. A father's letter arriving right on time, even though he had been gone for 12 years. Messy, Real. Mine. The last time my mother tried to reach me, she came to my house. No warning. No call. I saw her through the window, standing on the porch in a camel coat, holding a small gift bag. My body reacted before my mind did. Heart racing, hands cold. A child again, preparing to be evaluated. Adam took the kids upstairs. I opened the door but did not invite her in. She looked smaller outside my house, less powerful without her dining room, her candles, her script. "I brought something for the children," she said. "I told you not to." Her mouth tightened. "Claire, this has gone on long enough." "No." She blinked. "No?" "No. It has not gone on long enough for you to rewrite it." Her eyes filled. "I am your mother." I looked at her and finally heard the missing word. Not "I love you," not "I am sorry." Just ownership. "You raised me," I said. "And tonight I finally understand why that hurt so much." She flinched. For a moment, I saw the real wound under the performance. Then she covered it. "You will regret this." "Maybe," I said, "but my children won't." I closed the door. This time, I did not shake afterward. There is a photograph on my mantel now, not the polished family portraits my mother loved. This one is crooked. Mia is laughing with her eyes closed. Noah has frosting on his cheek. Laura's son is making rabbit ears behind her daughter. Grandma Ruth is holding a muffin tray. Adam is half in the frame because he set the timer wrong. And I am in the middle, dark hair, brown eyes, not matching anyone perfectly. For the first time, I do not look out of place. I look surrounded. Under the photo is Dad's letter, framed open to one line. "Biology is the least interesting way to belong to someone." Guests sometimes read it and smile without knowing the whole story. That is fine. They do not need to know every wound to understand the healing. If you have ever been told you are less real because love reached you through a different door, listen carefully. They are wrong. If you were adopted, chosen, fostered, raised by grandparents, loved by step-parents, protected by siblings, or found by people who had no obligation but showed up anyway, you are not almost family. You are not extra. You are not baggage. You are not a footnote to someone else's bloodline. Family is not proven by who can claim your DNA. Family is proven by who holds your fear gently, who tells the truth when silence would be easier, who protects your children when cruelty asks for tradition, who leaves a letter behind because they know one day you may need words stronger than the lies you were raised inside. My mother used biology like a locked door. My father left me a key, and I used it, not to go back, to let myself out. That Thanksgiving was the last holiday my children spent in my mother's house. People still ask if that makes me sad. The answer is yes. Of course it does. I am sad that my children learned cruelty at a table decorated with gold napkin rings. I am sad that my mother could look at two little faces and call them less real. I am sad that my father died before he could tell me everything himself. I am sad that Grandma Ruth waited too long. But sadness is not a reason to reopen a door that harms children. Grief is allowed. Access is not guaranteed. That is the lesson I learned. That is the lesson I will teach Mia and Noah. Love does not become real because it is biological. Love becomes real because it behaves like love. My name is Claire Bennett. I was adopted. I am a mother through adoption. I am my father's daughter. I am not my mother's secret anymore. The money she stole became my children's choices. The truth she hid became my freedom. The children she dismissed became the clearest proof of what family actually means. And every Thanksgiving now, before dinner, we go around the table and say one thing we are grateful for. Last year, Noah said dinosaurs. Mia said cousins. Laura said second chances. Grandma Ruth said courage, even when it comes late. And I said doors. Everyone looked at me. I smiled. Doors. Because some doors close behind you with a sound like loss. But later, when the house is quiet and the children are safe, you realize it was not loss at all. It was protection.